Okay, what's up guys? Welcome to a hopefully Comet episode. So I took a big gamble tonight. We came out to the City of Rocks, which is only about half an hour from my house, but it's super cloudy to the west, which is the only section that I care about right now, because that's where the Comet's going to be in about 45 minutes to an hour. But right now I'm trying to hurry because there's an epic light show going on with the sun, so I'm gonna time lapse it. Why is there always one like flying thing around me? Just one. What are you doing, man? Get out of here. I am not a threat. I am not food. I am not interesting whatsoever. You may leave me. Okay, so I got, what do I have? I like it on the days when I can carry my small bag. This is my Shimoda Urban Explorer. Not sponsored, just, you know, what I love. R5 Mark II. I got R6 Mark II at 2470. I just need to look at this. Man, can they see that, camera lady? Oh, that's incredible. Yeah, I'm just gonna time lapse it at 70 mil. Just like that. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna set this time lapse up, and then what we're gonna do is hopefully drive to the other side of the City of Rocks here and find a place to scout something. It's also tarantula mating season, so I saw a bunch on the road. Now I'm just looking out for crawly friends, you know. Desert living. Okay, so hopefully you guys will have a time lapse for some B-roll here in a second. Wow.
Which way is the comet going to be?
It's going to be right there where all those clouds are. But look, there's a hole, and it could be in that hole. It's a little tiny hole. It could be there. Yeah. And the moon's going away. All right, so we rushed around. It wasn't as easy as I'd hoped. You would think with as many times, I've been here like 1 billion times, that I would have an easier time finding compositions here, but this is like one of the hardest places for me to find compositions, which is why I still love it. It's why I never get bored of coming here. So we've got one hole in the clouds to the west where I think the comet should be popping up. At least that's what I'm really hoping. It's a little bit higher. Yesterday would have been ideal. Luckily, I didn't film yesterday, but I did go out. Yesterday was the October the 13th. Today is the 14th. I did go out and I shot the comet yesterday, so I'll have images to edit to show you guys if this doesn't work. But basically what I'm doing is same thing I did yesterday. I'm looking for a composition at about 70 to 100 millimeters. That's going to give me a nice foreground. I don't want to go too close to the comet because I don't want to put it on a tracker and I don't want to do all that stuff. I just want a nice landscape shot. So 70 to 200. I mean, I've got my RF 70 to 200 f4. Between 70 and 100 millimeters. Right now I think I'm at 70 vertical composition because it is going to be a little bit higher. So hopefully I'll get this out by the 15th. So you'll still have a few days, but every day it's going to get a little bit higher. So that's why this is a little bit challenging. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to expose, that's why I was hoping for the moon, because yesterday I had really nice moonlight lighting up like the foreground. I really want the foreground lit up. I don't want it just as a silhouette. So if I don't get the moonlight, I'm just going to expose this basically. Okay, so this is what we're looking at on screen, but I'm gonna don't pay attention to the settings right now because this is video. All right, so I'm at 1/5 of a second, f4, ISO 6400. I can get away with, the other reason why I don't want to go so tight is because I can get away with longer shutter speeds. So if I do 70 millimeters, I know that to get pinpoint stars, if we get any, and to get the comet sharp, I can get away with between 2 and 4 seconds tops. And if I zoom in any more than that, I'm going to have to lower the shutter speed and up my ISO. So if I do that, then I can stack, just take 10 shots or so, and then you can stack them. But yesterday I just did the single shots and ran it through denoising, and Adobe's denoising, and it worked really well. Okay, so I'm just going to incrementally take some shots of the foreground and expose for that. Like right now I'm at 5 seconds, f4, 800 ISO. So it doesn't really matter on that triangle, like what it's going to take to get, okay, there's Venus. That means the comet is going to be right there in the dark patch. It is going to be over this stuff, but it's not where I want it right now. So we're just gonna fingers crossed, and we're gonna see what happens. The moon went away, clouds showed up. But basically what I'm gonna do is go ahead and keep this composition, don't move your tripod, and then I'm gonna take incremental shots of different exposures at different light and see which ones balance out the way that I hope. And then if and when the comet shows up, I will readjust focus to infinity and focus on the stars, and then shoot the comet under 4 seconds at 70 millimeters. So that way I know that I'm getting my sharp shots and everything like that, my sharp stars. All right, so now we wait. All right, back in the studio. Definitely got skunked last night. Clouds just ruined it, as you probably saw from that last time lapse. Luckily, we have our backup plan, which was the day before yesterday's stuff. So let's jump into the computer, and I'm going to show you what all of the images that I took look like, settings-wise, what they ended up coming out to be, and then we're going to edit a couple of them so you can see my whole process, and hopefully that'll help you with your images. All right, so let's take a look at a couple of these. This was the third shot. If you follow me on Instagram, I already posted these. This was the third shot that I posted. It was actually the first shot that I took, and you can see we only have a few stars. The comet wasn't very bright, so this wasn't the best one. And then you can see here I tried lighting up with my headlight, but that just looked a little too unnatural for me. And I figured because we had the moonlight that I would just use that and just expose properly for this. So that's where we have like this here is more properly exposed. 5 second ISO 1600 f4. This is what I was saying earlier in the video, is that it doesn't matter on the exposure triangle what you use to get the exposure for your foreground, as long as you're happy with that, because we're just going to blend the sky out anyways. So then we have this cholla cactus here. I didn't think this was going to be that great of a shot, but it turned out to be all right. All right, so let's do this guy. So this was shot at 70 millimeters, f4, 2.5 seconds, ISO 6400. It's getting darker, so we need to up that ISO, because again, focusing on the stars, we need to make sure that the stars stay sharp. So that's why I'm dealing with that. Okay, so if I zoom in here, I just did a quick dark to separate which ones were focus stacked. So these ones here were all focused for the stars. So we got nice pinpoint stars there. And then these ones here, these are a lot brighter, and the yucca here is nice and sharp. So 5 seconds, 6400 f4. All right, so I'm gonna grab the foreground one and the stars one. We're gonna open both of those up in Camera Raw. All right, so the only reason that I'm opening these up in Camera Raw is because I want to denoise both of them first. So I'm just gonna go down here, I'm gonna select them both, and I'm gonna go to denoise. All right, so ISO 6400, I'm gonna do about 45, so we can see all the color noise and all the yuckies in there and the luminance noise. 45 does a good job of getting that out of there without completely painterizing, softening the image. So we're gonna hit enhance two photos and go from there. Okay, so it gave us the two DNGs and I just hit done. And so now we have the DNGs and I don't necessarily need to do anything to them in Camera Raw right now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select both of them and then I'm gonna come up here to Tools and Photoshop, load into layers. All right, so now we've got our layers. So I'm gonna go select both of them. This is the first thing I do for any focus stacking thing. I'm gonna come in here to auto align layers. Just leave it on auto is usually fine. All right, there we go. So even though I was on a tripod, it's just a hair off. And that's okay, that's why we do the auto align. I'm not gonna, yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and crop this now. I actually want to leave the stars in. So normally I would crop it as a 4:5 for Instagram because Instagram has ruined our lives as creators. But I'm gonna leave it as a regular ratio, and I'm just gonna crop in just a pinch. So now we need to blend this. So normally you could come in here and you could go to edit and you could go, after you've auto aligned them, you can go to auto blend, and this will do the stack images for the focus stacking. I found with stars though, like it just really doesn't, Photoshop doesn't always do a good job. Yeah, that is completely wonky. So we're just gonna undo that, and this is a much easier way of doing it. I'm gonna select this top one, and I'm gonna come up here to select sky, and now I'm just gonna hit the mask button, make a mask of that selection, and then I'm just gonna invert the mask with Control I. So now we have the foreground as our bright foreground with our in focus cactus, and that's all looking pretty good. And then we have our stars, slightly darker, all that good stuff. So the first thing I want to do is just heal all of this stuff out. So to save you time, I'm just going to do it, and there it is. All of the, now that's nice and cleaned up, and I know that's subjective, and that's something that I am personally very happy with. So if you're more of a purist or you have other intentions for your photograph or your art, then you certainly do not have to engage in healing or clone stamping of any type. All right, so the next thing is I just want to add a little more contrast in here. So I'm going to throw a little curves layer on here so you can see just how I've pulled it down just a bit and pulled it up here in the highlights for a little S-curve. Just a little loving. And then I'm going to make a stamp visible layer. So to do that, I'm going to hit Control Shift Alt E, and then that will copy everything underneath it and make that layer. So now I'm going to take this layer and I'm going to open it in Camera Raw with Control Shift A. So this just opens up Camera Raw inside of Photoshop, and I love doing this. It's one of my favorite methods for editing. And now I'm just going to retweak it just a little bit more. I like that there's a little bit of pink down here from the setting sun or the, the blue hour stuff, so I don't want to completely ruin that. I'm going to grab a linear gradient, and I'm just going to pull it like that because I want to exaggerate the blue there in the sky, because the sky is blue, and I think it looks really nice in my astro stuff. Adding that extra blue, nice big gradient. And then while I'm doing that, I think I'm also going to add a bit of dehaze to this gradient. Not too much though, maybe like 10, because dehaze is pretty powerful. It can really amok some stuff. But you see, we're starting to get contrast. We're starting to see the tail split too, so now we can see the highlights. And I like that. Okay, so we can see if we hit P, the P button, we can see a before and after of what we just did here in the Camera Raw plugin. So that's before, and that's after. Just gave it a nice little pop and clean that up there. All right, so now we can see the before and after here too on that layer. That's looking pretty good. That's basically all I want to do to this one. I think I got enough detail in the Comet that I'm happy with, but let's take a look at one of these other ones real quick. Okay, so here's the Choya one. I've already edited this. I'm not going to go through and re-edit it for time's sake, but I'll give you a quick walkthrough. So same deal, I stacked it the same way with these two layers, and come in here and with a little healing layer, just cleaned it up a little bit to my liking. And then another layer back in Camera Raw, the stamp visible layer. So again, this one had even more nice of that mauve look to the sunset there. So I want to keep that, but I still wanted that gradient just to pop a little more. So there's that. Here's where, so the next layer comes in. I wanted to, the Comet wasn't as bright as in the last shot that we just edited. So I wanted to bring out the Comet a little more. So what we're going to do is I created a dodge layer here. So it's really subtle. To see it, we're going to have to zoom in. So now you can look right here in the tail, how the tail splits there. And we have the faint tail, I guess. So this just adds, let me exaggerate it for you. There, so now you can see how I've just kind of tried to follow the natural where the tail was and just add in a little bit of light. But 100% was a little too much, so I brought it down to 50%. And I think that's subtle, but it does just enough. So let me show you how to do the dodge layer real quick. So to make a dodge layer, a dodge and burn, I'm going to do Control-Shift-N, and then I'm going to call it dodge, whatever. The important thing is we go down here to normal, to mode, and we're going to change it to overlay, and then we're going to hit fill with 50% gray. Okay, so that will give us our dodge. So now when we come in here and we grab the dodge tool, so you have the dodge and the burn tool, which will make things darker, and the dodge tool to make things lighter. So now we can change our brush size and style and all of that, and we can come in here to the midtones, and I want to change my exposure. I want it to be very, like 3% maybe. So if I start coloring this in, and I just do it really ugly like that, you can see what it's doing. It's brightening all the midtones in the areas that I colored. Now obviously that was a really bad job because I don't want it outside of the Comet, of course, so I would do a better job. So I would come in here and I would make a smaller brush. You can use your bracket keys to change the size of the brush, and I just would lighten it up where I wanted that. And then I'm gonna go down to like maybe even 1%. Now I'm gonna do it a little bit bigger. All right, now I'm just gonna paint it in a little bit bigger there and give just the tiniest flare to that outside. All right, so that's how we do the dodge and burn. That's a little much, I think, so I'm gonna back that off because I just want it to be subtle. I don't want it to look over the top. I just want it to look real and just kind of showcase what was there a little better than a single shot could capture it. All right, so after we have the dodge and burn, oh, I did another healing layer. This guy down here in the bottom left corner, I don't know, that was bothering me. So I took out that little cactus. And then one more brightening curves layer. And then one last layer in Camera Raw. So this is where I want to bring out the gradient for the color there. The other thing that helped, that the gradient for the color does is it helps add a little more color contrast in here so you can see that comet tail just ever so slightly better. All right, so that was it. Those particular images I don't think required a lot of editing. That's pretty, at least for my level of editing, that's pretty standard. That's a pretty low amount. So I'm very happy with that. I did take a bunch of extra shots so that I could stack them if I needed to. And to do that, I would have used a program called Sequator or Sequator, however you want to say it. I don't think I have a tutorial on that video. I think I used it in my R5 II astro photography video though, so you could check that out if you want to see how I did the Milky Way. And I did stack that Milky Way shot with Sequator, and I think I did walk you through it a little bit in that editing process. That program, Sequator, is only for PC though, and it's free for Windows. But for Mac, you have to get something else, and it costs money. I think it's called Starry Landscape Stacker or something like that. I don't know. But there is something out there for Mac systems. So hopefully that'll help you at least get an idea for the things I'm looking for when I'm out shooting, like scouting for the Comet, and for how I edit the Comet images. You're gonna have, if you see this right when it comes out, mid-October, today's the 15th, you're gonna have, I think, tonight and then 2 or 3 more nights, maybe. But it's like I showed in that image before, it's going to get higher and higher, so it's going to get darker and darker. I think the sweet spot, unfortunately, was the day before. I wish I would have thought to do this video before, but that's the story of my life. There will be future comments, there will be other opportunities, and so hopefully this video will live on and help you in the future. If you have any other questions about my technical settings or whatever, if I missed anything about how I shot, scouted, shot, and edited the Comet, then let me know in the comments below and I'll definitely try to answer those. If you're still here, I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button for me. That's the best thing you do for my channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, you can definitely subscribe. You can check out my astro playlist if you're interested in astrophotography specifically. I've got a ton of stuff for on-location and editing tutorials. And then you can branch out and check out all the other stuff I have, landscape, wildlife, all the goods, phone stuff if you want to learn how to use your phone. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.